So this training is conducted under the Caribbean program. So the purpose is to show the participants how to be ready for exporting. And it starts from the selection of the products, identifying the brand identity, to find the right buyers.
It led us to look at the essence of the cultural aspect of producing work for a larger marketplace. It's one thing to produce for the region where you're on the same wavelength, you have a similar feel to the product, but to take it outside of the region to a larger market, you really do need to carry that to the marketplace in such a way that it is understandable and acceptable to the people who are now new to your product and to your culture. And I think the workshop was very helpful in that regard.
In fact, I will tell you, the workshop has been useful not just for the artisans and the other producers who were targeted, but also for my very own staff. And I mean, it was not originally intended that we would be targeting our staff, but of course we are hosting it, so we took the opportunity to learn from the experience. And the feedback that I got from the staff is that it has been an excellent presentation.
I was really surprised in terms of the importance of, contacting and relating to your buyers and prospective visitors at the event prior to attending the event. I find that one was a little new for me, because usually you expect to go to the event and then you interact with those who visit your booth and hope for the best. But with this workshop, I've learned that prior to the event, 2 months before the event, and then maybe 2 weeks before the event, it's good to communicate and connect with some of the buyers and visitors that will be attending that particular show.
I have participated in trade fairs before in Canada, but this gave me a broader perspective on really specific things that I personally hadn't looked at before, in terms of just finding the right market, how to deal specifically with the client, the customer, the potential customer, the buyer on a large scale.
Because when you do export, you have to change your mindset, so you have to change your hat. It's not the hat for the domestic market anymore, for the tourist. You have to put the export hat and change your mindset, as I said, in terms of selecting the right products, in terms of communicating, the way you communicate with buyers, the way you sell to buyers.
I have dealt with retail trade shows before, where you're dealing one-on-one with a customer who is coming to buy a specific product. This really took you to a different framework, where you're looking at a buyer who is interested in not a one item, but possibly 1,000 items. So it made you really have to look at production. How ready are you to enter that marketplace? Because if you get if you're used to producing 10 items, are you ready to go to a trade fair where you're going to be required to produce maybe 500 to 1,000 to 6,000 items?
But it's more complex than that as to the preparations before actually going to the trade show and guarding your investments of joining a trade show with beforehand clients and so forth to do the research of your marketing beforehand of going.
I was very glad to see that there were lots of participants and they really enjoyed, as I believe, the training.
What it did was give us a true background as to the approach of entering an export market. With the ideas that we have had before has been more clarified in detail as to the structure or the formula of entering, first with your product, the idea of your product, how to determine the viability of your product, to making modifications if needed for the export market, which is very different to a local or regional market.
These are considerations that you don't normally have if you're not looking at that larger framework of a trade fair, that they're not from the region, they're used to dealing on a large scale with manufacturers. The work is going to now be showcased in a variety of locations in a variety of countries. Those were very, very important aspects of this workshop for me.
To see the kind of growth and development, the level of enthusiasm from the artisans. I think it's very important that it has served to change the mindset, I think, of many of them, to think outside of the box, to bring their creativity to the fore, and to think, more importantly, to think wider markets than, you know, your own backyard, your limited space. So I just want to say that this project has really, it has really enabled our artisans, our creative people